If you love cars like we do, and you look at cars all the time like we do, there's something very satisfying about sharing that with other people. And Flipping Bangers, the TV series, has been so popular. There's been a lot of people asking us for more stuff.
More stuff is coming, but we are waiting to see what the news is going to be on season 4. So we thought we'd do a podcast in the meantime so that people can see what we're actually up to.
Everyone likes a podcast, don't they?
Well, yeah, I think so.
Well, certainly people say they do.
Well, it's a good thing because we get to see more cars and we get to go and look at other people's cars. It doesn't really matter if they're for sale. Sometimes it's enough just to look over it and say, you know, this might be a car that we'd like to do in the future.
Yeah, I get it. So we'll go through the process. We look at the car, what it stands for, what we know about those cars, how it presents.
And conclude with giving it the thumbs up or the thumbs down. Would we buy this car to flip?
I got it. And that sounds like something that I'd listen to.
Yeah, me too.
Hello, everybody. We're back again. We're back again podcasting.
Yeah, today it's my turn to show Gus the car that I have found, which I've chosen not to cover because you don't see these cars very often. They're quite rare. They went out of fashion. They come back into fashion. And I just can't wait for Gus to get around this corner to be able to feast his eyes on this wonderful creation that I've managed to bring.
Lovely, really lovely. In actual fact, it was on our Flipping Bangers list every series.
Well, there you go. I've managed to find one in reality.
So this is a Fiat Coupe. It's the 5, so it's a 20 valve, yeah. So the 5-cylinder.
2 litre.
2 litre. Is it 2 litre? Yeah, 2 litre. But 5-cylinder, 20 valve.
And these were made between 1993 and 2000.
Yes.
But there weren't that many of them, which is why I struggled to track this one down.
Yeah.
There were only like 72,000 ever made.
It's an interesting car, isn't it? Because this was absolutely core to the readership of some of the magazines that I worked for at the time. And actually, I went on the launch of this car up at Ackergill.
Did you?
Yeah, up at Ackergill Castle. I went with Jason.
So it's not that mind-blowing for you then? I thought
it is. Oh, don't get me wrong. I love them. I love the whole sort of Chris Bangle slashed bodywork, and you know, I think it's great. I think it was bold.
Yeah, bold.
It was fast.
Yeah, and
unruly.
It's funky. Well, yeah, apparently I've never driven one. Obviously, I mean, this is the car that you would least expect me to ever present to you.
I think that's really interesting because I'm looking at it now. I mean, I'm a bit quiet because I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, yeah, it still looks cool to me.
Yeah.
It still looks like a cool car. It was a brave design, wasn't it? This is a T-Reg silver, 20 valve turbo Fiat,
and it's the limited edition.
Is it?
It's the LS.
Okay.
One. So, look at that interior, which we'll get to shortly.
Yeah, I was just seeing it through the windows. It does look funky. It's got red inserts in the seats. And
that's part of being an LS.
Oh, really? Okay.
And also, there's a lot of detailing around the car, on the outside of the car.
It's
titanium-coloured detailing here and there.
Oh, okay, the grille at the front. Yeah, okay.
That's right, various other bits and pieces, which I'll spot as we get around, because I haven't had a previous look at it.
The wheels are standard, and I don't think they changed them, did they? I seem to remember that that's what they were like on the launch ones.
Do you know what? I don't know.
It's funny looking at it now.
To go with you
looking
on that.
at the bulges on where the lights are on the bonnet. It's got the feel of a sort of concept car, sort of 80s concept car.
The whole thing looks very, very concept.
Yeah.
I mean, who would have thought that coming out with, you know, so the lights themselves are kind of like they're cut into the bonnet in that sort of shape where you'd expect them to be pop-ups.
Yes.
But they're not pop-ups. They've got a bubbly shape, plastic sort of lens, and the lights are set in behind.
Yeah.
And this is one of the features of this titanium colour background.
Okay, in there.
Behind the polycarbonate.
So no matter what body colour you had, that would still be titanium?
It would be, yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And that was part of this special
painted surface behind the polycarbonate there. Yeah.
Careful where you tread there.
Oh, yes, there's mess on the ground. Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Okay, because I know what my first thoughts were when I saw this car for the first time. And it was like, crikey, there's something really striking about it to me. Yeah. Now, what would that have been if that were you in that sort of similar, if you were trying to explain what I'm trying to explain?
I suppose I was immersed in this world at the time, and we were looking at what the alternatives was this to be, and the most popular. So I think this was about 220 horsepower. The most popular would have been, without a doubt, Impreza Turbo, which was 225. I think, if I'm right.
A much bigger car.
Bigger car, yeah. You know, they did two-door ones as well, didn't they? But this was niche, I would have said. Niche.
Yes, very much so.
And it was less competent. It was slightly more unruly. Do you know what I mean? In its torque steeriness and its mad power, especially when it got to the 20 valve.
The 20 valve was the one to have. I mean, and you're right with the brake horsepower. It's 220 brake horsepower.
Is it? Yeah.
So that's a lot of oomph. Phil, that's a small car.
It is a small car, yeah. It's a four-seater, though.
Yeah.
You know, it's not as if it's not, is it?
But it's made by Fiat as well, though, so it's not exactly going to be heavy in its construction either.
No.
So small and light.
Yeah, small and light.
Furiously powerful.
Yeah, and it's got big, red, very proud red Brembo brakes on the disc brakes on the front, hasn't
and
it?
back.
And slightly smaller and not quite as manly on the... No. Well, I shouldn't say manly, it's quite beefy on the back.
Yeah.
Designed by Pininfarina, clearly, because it's written on the
It's written down the side, which is good. So,
actually, that's interesting, because it wasn't designed by Pininfarina, was it?
Oh, were they just running under the name, are they?
No, it was...
No, it wasn't, was it?
I think Chris Bangle, when he designed this, he became part of he became part of the conversation, really. A, because of this, but B, because of his involvement with BMW later. But when I think he did this, I think he worked for Fiat. I think Pininfarina did the interiors. I think that's why that's on there.
Okay.
I think that's the thing.
Right, okay. Well, I'm happy to go with that, because I know the outside of the car wasn't designed by Pininfarina.
Yeah.
Going back to my question, though.
Sorry,
There was the striking design element of this car, which at the time I thought, quite, you've got to really love that.
Yeah.
Or really hate that. That's a proper sort of Marmite thing going on down there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about, don't you?
Well, the slashes.
Yeah.
And when you look at them now, they look a bit weird, don't they? So there's the line. So the line of the bumper basically lifts up towards the end of the bumper where it's coming to the wheel, goes over the top of the wheel, and then you have this square cut wheel arch, which is the bonnet, and then it goes back into the bodywork with a slash up into the door. And it's bold, isn't it?
It is very bold,
Yeah.
and often I think what you sometimes find with bold statements of design is like, it's either going to work or it's not.
Yes, yeah.
No, okay, so I think on this car, for me, the jury's out on whether that works or not. I think, okay, the car works, and it's quite a good look. But I think for the general public, you know, did that idea take off in other cars? Well, no, it didn't, did it?
It didn't, no.
No, nothing else tried to emulate that in any way, shape, or form.
Which probably tells you the story, doesn't it?
Well, that's kind of what I was getting at, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know why I wanted to show you this car? Apart from the fact that I knew it was going to blow your mind.
It is interesting looking around it, isn't it? It's very interesting. Go on, why?
So the reason is, it's my friend Dave, many years ago, said, Will, come and have a look at this. I've just bought a new car. And it was the LS model, just like this one.
Oh, okay.
And he was absolutely blown away with the whole thing because it was so cheap. And he's renowned for not wanting to spend a terrible amount of money on anything.
Cheap power.
And he'd been out and bought this fire-breathing monster,
Yeah.
I think for about $2,000 or so.
Wow.
And we are going back 15 years, so...
Wow.
So for him...
So it was still current then,
he could get all the fun of the fair.
Yeah.
And really enjoy it for no money.
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? But I wonder what they're worth now. Not really... I mean, if we looked into how much one of those... Have you looked it up?
I have, actually, yeah. So really the sort of prices on these would be... So for a really nice one...
Now,
today, December, where it's chilly, and it is cold, isn't it? The sun's getting close to the horizon over there. It's getting towards the end of the day, not far off Christmas. For a really good one, you're looking at 10 grand.
Wow.
Okay, so start at the top and work down. For a poor one, so for mid-range, about 5,
Yeah,
and for a really poor one,
2.
they're still getting £2,000.
Amazing.
Now
Amazing.
that's quite a surprise.
It is quite a surprise.
You know,
want
considering a poor one could be.
well, could be trouble, couldn't it?
Yeah,
could
well,
be
really will be trouble.
turbo
wouldn't it?
trouble, could be thrash trouble. And I suppose, yeah.
The turbos were issues with these.
Were they?
Yeah, that was one of their Achilles' heels, really.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which is a pity because I mean, for a start, it's almost. Right, I mean, they're very expensive to change, and you know, a lot of time and parts and
I
stuff.
should imagine they're awkward to get at as well.
Well, I was just about to sort of suggest
Quite
that.
have a look.
It just dawned on me. I don't know.
I don't know at all. Well, I think we should have a look.
Pop the bonnets up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's
I'll find the old what's it?
Yeah, go on. Shall we use this opportunity to have a bit of a commercial break? Shall we do that? Shall we
go
try
on
and do
then.
that? See if there's anyone
Yeah.
interested in having a commercial break. I'm certainly interested in having a little break.
Yeah,
that would
me
be good.
too. And rest assured, we will come back and we will investigate where that turbo is and let you know.
Right, we're back. Will is scrabbling around inside. See, I seem to remember this as being a problem, trying to find out where the bonnet pull was.
They always hide them.
I seem to also remember having to look in the workshop manual.
I tried inside the glove box. So,
here it is.
Oh,
it's
you're
disguised.
kidding me.
It's disguised. It's
You're
underneath
kidding
the
me.
steering wheel.
Do you
but
know,
it's
I thought I was being clever. I thought, right, okay, Italian car, standard left-hand drive. Let's just check on the left-hand drive side of the car to see if it's there.
Well, it very often is, isn't it?
Well, yeah, on this occasion,
Well,
it was not.
So this is a very large bonnet. And
It's huge.
And now
And
we've got to
First thing I'm noticing, though, is Gus is struggling to find the little flipper that you've got to release before the bonnet will actually come up. The lights seem to be attached to the bonnet rather than attached to the car.
It's almost embarrassing, isn't it?
Oh, hold on. Oh, I can hear it.
Oh, yeah.
It's about here. Hold on, I'm going to have to get on my hands and knees. Pull it up a little bit so I can see in there.
It's really
I can
heavy.
see it. Is there a little... Oh, got it.
Got it. Wow, it's really heavy. It's on struts, but it's super heavy.
I think the
struts about it.
must be seized in both directions.
Okay, so it's holding up.
Okay.
So it's on the first thoughts looking under here is that it's painted red. I don't know if that's the special edition, but it looks great.
Yeah, okay, the first thing that occurs to me is we've lifted up the bonnet. The bonnet is full width of the car, and from the very tip of the car to the base of the windscreen, so it's a ginormous bonnet, and it's revealed absolutely everything. Right, okay, it's... With all the mechanical components, they work out almost smooth. There's no need for plastic covers in here.
No, it's good.
To make it smooth.
It's handsome, isn't it?
Every gap is full.
Yep.
And it looks really technical.
It looks great, doesn't it?
Apart from the wiring over there, that looks slightly dodgy.
It does, doesn't it? But the rest, I think this brace, is that part of the special edition? The strut brace?
Yeah, adjustable strut brace.
Going between the McPherson struts on the front. But it looks purposeful. Access is fabulous.
The engine looks gigantic.
It's huge.
I can see, well, it's a twin cam engine. I mean, it's going to have to be, isn't it?
Yeah.
Considering everything it's doing. But the engine looks physically ginormous.
It does, but that's the thing about a 5-cylinder engine, isn't it?
Well, it is a big engine, isn't it?
Like a 6-cylinder engine is only 3 and 3, isn't it? So it's small.
Yeah.
4-cylinder engine, but a 5-cylinder engine is a big thing, isn't it? It
It's a
sort of
big
looks a bit trucky, doesn't it?
It does. I mean, it's very wide as well because it's twin cam. Now,
let's have a look.
So this was going to be the turbo. We're both leaning on the engine now with our bums sticking out.
Just desperately trying to see down the back. Actually, I've got a light somewhere. Hang on, I've got a light.
Hold on a sec.
I've got a light just here.
I've just realised something, Gus.
Oh, it comes out the front.
Yep.
Oh, there it is.
There it is. Right there.
There it is.
It's in front of the engine, and apart from the aluminium cowling, which covers it...
But it's on view here. You can see it. You can see the turbo.
Yeah, that's almost completely accessible without too much faff.
There's something rather lovely about a red... Is that red or is that orange? It's red, isn't it?
I'll say it's flame red.
I'd say so as well. Flame red cover on the engine. It looks...
lively.
It looks lively, yeah. I mean, the paint's coming off it a bit, and I think if the paint came off it completely, it would still look great, because it's aluminium. But,
yeah.
Well, with plastic.
I mean, you know, the Italians have got a really good habit of making things look good, haven't they? It is fair to say. You know, you'd expect it to look good.
It's satisfying under there, isn't it? Access is great.
Yeah.
It's satisfying. It's clean.
Now, this one is there are some bits missing from this engine. So there's various induction pipes and airflow pipes and coolant pipes that are currently disconnected. So I don't know what's wrong with this car.
There's certainly a bit of work going on in here, isn't there? I still love the idea of doing one of these on the show.
Okay.
Because I think it's an interesting car, isn't it? It wasn't... Go on.
Do you know what? It was one of those cars that I always sort of found like, you know, it was out of my league, which is why I was so excited when my friend told me about this one. Out of my league of interest, not league, I suppose
out of your sphere of
interest. Remit of interest.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he mentioned it. I thought, oh, do you know what? That's going to be hilarious. Gus is definitely not going to expect me to turn up with one of these.
No.
So I'd never really paid too much attention, apart from my friend Dave talking about his one in great adoration.
Yeah.
So now I'm seeing one really for the first time in the flesh. I've never worked on one.
Well, no, I haven't either. And also, they're not really a seminal turbocharged car, are they? I mean, an RB5 Subaru Impreza probably is, because everyone said they drove beautifully and they handled beautifully and they went beautifully. Whereas this wrangled, you know, people wrangled with them with torque steer and
there were never so many of these either.
No.
So how could it would be difficult? You'd never hear the conversation about this versus an Impreza or a Corrado or a TT.
Yeah, or the Corrados or TT. Yeah, they were all up there, weren't they?
Yeah, they were. They were all the quite medium-sized pocket rockets.
But is the interest in this car, therefore, and I think maybe with me, is because it is so quintessentially Italian. They have done exactly what they want to do, which is a very Italian thing, isn't it?
Yeah, completely and utterly. There's almost like there's no boundaries.
Yeah.
Catering for the middle classes with this car as well, the younger middle classes.
It would have been expensive at the time.
I think it was quite a dear car.
But yeah, but that's where it would be aimed, wouldn't it?
It would, yeah. And you can see that, you know, somebody in their sort of mid-20s, early 30s maybe, quite relatively affluent, pre-family, because it's a two-door coupe.
Yeah. You don't really want to be dealing with two doors when you've got a buggy and a...
But they want a nice car, and this car would have fitted into that bracket.
Yeah.
And you can see by the, you know, standard Fiat engineering in there. It's like, well, it probably did the job quite well.
I think it.
Well, we know
did.
it did.
Yeah,
because they were.
But that engine was a derivative. So the 4-cylinder one, I think maybe the 5-cylinder one. That was in the Integrale, wasn't it? That was the race engine.
Oh, really?
Oh, it was hugely successful. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, massively successful. I would consider that to be a bulletproof engine.
Yes. Well, there you go. Very good starting point. But that's a beautiful picture.
It's a great engine.
I'm still so excited about the rest of it. I want to show you the interior.
Yeah. Oh, come on, let's have a look at the interior.
Am I rushing you?
They're quite sticky.
Am I rushing you?
Well, I'm still taking in the weight of this bonnet. It's really heavy. It's got the lights incorporated in it, and it's got two massive struts. But they've obviously seen better days, and they're sticky. But
past their best.
When you're holding that weight, and the bonnet, so it curves round as well and goes round the side lights, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That's a clamshell, isn't it?
I suppose that's actually quite interesting, isn't it? The way that bonnet does roll and open up for the grille at the front.
Yeah, it's
sort of 50% of the opening on the front of an E-Type, isn't it? Yeah. It's that nice rolled over opening, air inlet, breathing end. And look at it closed.
It's satisfying, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a good-looking front end.
That's not a bad-looking car. I really like the lights.
The only thing that irks me slightly...
Oh, come on.
...about the front of this car, the front end of this car, is the wheels. They're too small, and they're not of a design that I particularly like.
Does it irk you about the back as well? Because it's the same wheels.
It does. Yeah, though these ones are a bit more acceptable because they've got a great big red Brembo caliper in them, whereas the back ones look a little bit weedy. It's just I don't like the shape of the wheels. Never have done.
They do look slightly more shopping car than you would probably want.
Why is that? Is it because they're not big enough? Oh, I don't know. Now I'm looking at them now. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how to say why I think that. It's just it's always been a problem with me.
They're aluminium wheels. They're 4-spoke. Each spoke seems to have a bit of an indentation in the centre of it, and it doesn't run from the centre of the wheel out. It runs from off-centre out. So
I suppose they're made to look like they're moving. They look like they've got a bit of movement in them, don't they?
Yeah.
Come on then, show me the inside. Let's have a look.
I'm going to let you jump
Massive door.
I'm going to let you jump in the driver's side because there's a massive puddle right next to the door, and I don't want to have to stand in that and then get in my mate's car and get it all muddy and wet.
So this is this.
But I just realised my door's locked.
Oh, well, I'll let you in. Hang on. So just getting in. It's very nice in here. Very nice in here.
Thank you.
They've done a brilliant job in here, haven't they?
Look at those seats.
The seats are fabulous. They're leather. They've got a red centre to them. Really beautiful colour, red centre.
They've got very deep side cheeks. And,
they've got a lot of support. A lot of support
around the back. And they've even got shoulder cheeks as well to keep you in place when you're hurtling around that track.
You're doing some hard cornering.
Yeah. I'm going to move my seat back a little bit further because my legs are quite long. Oh, that's quite nice. Comes back a long way.
So the interior, it clearly is done by Pininfarina because there's a massive, great Pininfarina badge on the centre. It's got paint, and I remember this as being a thing. This painted section all the way along the top of the dash.
This is the LS titanium tint trim,
And that painted area goes into the top of the door, across the top of the door card. I'm just closing the door. But I remember that being a thing, not in this grey, because like you say, this is the titanium of the... Is it LE or LS?
Oh,
whichever. But it goes...
It might be LE.
LE, I think it is.
It is.
Limited edition. It is, yeah.
Oh, of course it is.
But then it goes all...
My apologies, everybody. As you may know, I'm dyslexic, and I always get these things that are muddled up. So there you go. It's an LE.
So, and then so the painted area goes around the dials. So the dials are set into this colour-coded...
That's sweet.
It's very smart, isn't it?
Very smooth and very tidy.
Yeah.
In as much as, the panel is just relieved, the clocks are set behind. You've got a clean sweep across that area.
It's a really, really... I hadn't really appreciated that, but it's a beautiful interior, isn't it?
It is. I'm loving the striking contrast of this poppy red.
Yeah. On the door card
beautifully, lovely stitch lines in it as well.
It's all leather, isn't it?
It is, all proper leather. The door cards aren't, those are plastic.
Yeah.
The red is all leather and the seats are all leather.
Primary surfaces, isn't it? The surfaces you touch, the gear knob, and this has got a 6-speed, is that a 6-speed gearbox? It's got a 6-speed gearbox. I didn't know that.
Oh, nice.
Is that must be part of the special package as well.
Yeah, it could be.
I remember them putting a 6-speed in the Punta, but I don't remember it in here.
You'd want it, wouldn't you? If you're winding around those mountain roads,
yeah,
where you actually do need a full selection of gears.
Yeah.
And when you got the speed up there as well, 6. Well, I suppose you use 6 on the way back down, don't you?
Oh, I guess. This has got push-button start. That's a very early push-button start, isn't it? Very early.
I mean, that in its day would have been like, oh, come and have a look at this. You get everybody else in the house. Come and look at my new car. It's got a massive red button.
And it starts.
It should say, top and bottom, do not press this button. The temptation's too great.
But they have done a brilliant job in here. Oh, there's a little. Here we go. Look, there's a little limited edition plaque up here. It's a numbered plaque just above the rear view mirror. There's a riveted on oval plaque, 20 valve turbo, and then a number 1118. I think this one is limited edition.
Yeah,
but I think Pininfarina did all the interiors, but they obviously did this limited edition one as well because they didn't have the accents of colour on the others, but the others were very, very neat interiors. And I remember this colour-coded painted section that went all the way across the dash, which incorporated the dials. And I remember thinking at the time, why hasn't someone done that? Because it's a sort of old thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's kind of like, almost like, it sort of seems obvious when you see it.
Yeah.
But how many other cars do this? I mean, you could expect to see that in a veneered wooden dash in a nice classic or something like that.
But to have it painted, it looks classy, doesn't it?
It does look classy.
It looks great.
The other thing that's sort of really picking up on here is the steering wheel. Okay, so the leather wrapped steering wheel It's got the, the proportion, the piece of leather around the top, piece of leather around the bottom. They're stitched somewhere close to the bottom. And then as you're driving it, where your thumbs just naturally hook over the wheel, there's a great big leather inset.
Yeah, nice.
On that bit where you would really that's where you're really going to be grabbing hold of it hard when you're really driving the car.
Yeah.
I think that's a good little look.
It is. They've done a very good job in it. I was just looking at the speedo. This has only done 7,000. Is that 7,000? It's only done 7,000 miles.
It can't be.
Well, that's what that says. That's amazing. No. I mean, if you look at, what I was doing is I was looking at the condition of everything, thinking it's an incredible nick in here.
Well, the gear stick, the knob on the end of the gear stick, has absolutely no signs of wear whatsoever.
And no ingrained dirt along the stitching, which is weird, which it would have if it had been.
There's a bit of the interior that the plastic trimming cars where they put that funny coating on them, and then they, when they get a bit old, they
like an SLK,
like wipe them in honey and then left them. Like, a lot like the SLK. Well, there's a bit of plastic trim around the handbrake that feels like that. It's very sticky.
Oh, it's really sticky.
But that's the only part of the interior.
You'd have to take that off, wouldn't you?
Oh, yeah.
That's weird, isn't it, how it's done that?
But it's the only bit of the inside of the car that actually looks like it's done anything. But I can't for a moment believe this car's only done 7,000.
Oh, look at that.
That's brand new.
Yeah, the cigarette lighter has never been used. I mean, that just means maybe someone's never smoked, but...
Well, I mean, that's got to be a good thing, if this were your car and you wanted to sell it and it's never had a smoker in it.
Yeah, it's good, really good in here. Really good.
Very tidy. I suppose, really, I have found something that has got signs of wear. And it's the sun visor on the passenger side, the mirror that's in it. As I fold it down and look at the mirror, not that I want to look at myself, I just want to look at the mirror. And unfortunately, I do have to look at myself.
You can't do both.
I know, it's a pity.
One without the other,
I wonder if the mirror was cracked before I started looking at it.
Let's hope so.
It has got a crack. And the bit on the other side where you would slide your sunglasses in, that's also a bit damaged. I'd say that was ultraviolet damage from the outside, where it's split along that front seat.
Is it split on the front?
Yeah, it has.
Oh, yeah, it has, you're right. Yeah. Well, that's interesting.
But
that's the only thing, though, isn't it? Because the rest of it is fabulous.
Absolutely spanking. They've got the same sticky coating on this central part.
Do you think someone sprayed that with... Oh, don't touch, look at that. Look at the fingerprints all over it. I think somebody sprayed that with something... I think he's going to be able to find out who it was.
My fingerprints are not on any database at all, but they are now all over that sticky paint on the dashboard.
Right, we're getting out. It's great in here, absolutely great. I love it. And you're right. This version in particular, it makes a difference, doesn't it? It's very smart, very smart.
It's a real looker.
Yeah.
Okay. Me and my friend Martin have got a saying, and it's strangely attractive.
The car?
Yes.
Yes, I agree with you, and that is the case with this car. It's not a beautiful car, is it?
No.
By any means, but it is an interesting car, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a little bit brutal. It's
got
to Will's now.
It's got gizmos.
Petrol cap up, and it's got a sort of, I don't know, like a Le Mans filler, hasn't it?
Oh, yeah, I'd say aero, but it is more racing car Le Mans, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
a modern take on it.
You just pull on the little catch, and the whole thing pops up like that, and it's in the top of the rear quarter section. So you can imagine the boys there in the pits, kind of turning up with their great big funnel jerry
dump
can,
tanks,
dump loading into there.
Yeah.
And then locking it, obviously.
It's a clever touch. And the rear lights, we're around the back of the car now, the rear lights are recessed in, didn't that used to be called Frenching?
Custom cars, they called it Frenching.
I think they did, didn't they, in the sort of 70s?
The Corvettes had something similar, didn't they, on some of the 70s models,
so
the Stingray.
They're let in, they're circular and they're let in, and the brake lights above the indicator. And
It's got the obligatory baked bean can exhaust tailpipe.
Yeah, that's an aftermarket, isn't it?
It looks far too clean to be the original. But that looks like a stainless steel exhaust system in front of it.
Yeah, I think it probably is. Shall we have a look underneath? Well, before we go underneath, let's have a little break, and we'll see if we can find someone to sponsor this small break.
Yes, that's right. We need tea and biscuits, and we need a sponsor. And it would be great to get you on board.
If you're interested at all, come and talk to us. we're going to have a quick break. We'll be back in a minute with our rather smart 20-valve turbo Fiat Coupe. Limited edition, LE.
I'm going to look it up on the internet.
No, it says it LE. It's got the plaque, hasn't it? It says LE.
Oh, it says LE.
Yeah. Back in a second, everyone.
Right, there you go.
Right, we got a jack under our 20-valve turbo.
Which, to be honest, took a little bit of time because the jacking points on these are not
Obvious?
really obvious.
Yeah.
And there's a fair amount of plastic along that sill.
Yeah, it's quite a long way in there, isn't it?
I didn't want to get that wrong.
No, and yeah, well, safety first. It's not ours, is it? Let's face it.
No, exactly. I've got to give this car back unbroken, which is why you'll notice I've not been picking at any of the bits on it.
Yeah, or putting your fingerprints on it. That's good too.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Well, there's a few fingerprints. It seems to be issuing some water from back there, so I don't know which bit's full.
Oh, yeah, that's not a good sign.
I hope that is water. And
no, it is water, yeah.
It's not fuel, is it?
No, it's out of the skirt kit.
High enough?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I'm sure we can see.
I'm going to grab the other mat.
Oh, that's quite a lot of water coming out there. Yeah, see, that would worry me because that water is sitting up against the seal, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's quite a lot of water, isn't it? Because it's still running out now. As you can hear, I'm sure it's actually splashing on my head.
Bucketing it out of there.
It really is bucketing
Is that
it out.
really coming? Hold on. No, that's coming from inside the car.
Is it?
Yeah.
What? Is it really?
Well, I mean, yeah, look, stick your head in. It's not coming from the plastic's oversill. It seems to be slowing, thankfully.
How is it running out? So the water is pouring out of the side we've jacked up, which makes no sense whatsoever, does it?
I mean, the back's slightly lower, which makes a bit of sense, but...
I suppose.
I mean, it's almost like the actual sill of the car is full of water.
Well, I thought that's what it was. I think that probably is what...
I think that's what it is.
Yeah, I mean, we've had a lot of rain.
Do you know what?
What?
I think the car's full of water.
I think you might be right.
I mean, it's still... I mean, so the stream of water that's coming out is about 3-4 mil in diameter and a constant flow.
Yeah, that would worry me.
And it's still running.
Right, I'm going to get a torch.
I've got one right here.
Have you? Oh, let's have a look.
Here we are. Well, good sign. Look at that, brand spanking new exhaust from midsection back.
Yeah, very
brand
nice.
new. Look at that rear suspension arm. Doesn't that look complicated?
Not only does it look complicated, but in traditional Italian style, it looks corroded. They do this thing, don't they, where they start at the edges. They start flaking at the edges.
It's coming away in big crunchy leaves.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it is complicated. I suppose is it a wishbone? I can't really see because of the dripping.
I don't want to spin my head.
It's a trailing
arm,
Yeah.
and it looks like it's got a torsion bar running from one side to... Can you see any springs behind there?
There's a coil spring up in there. So
okay, so it's not a torsion bar. That must be like a balance bar, like a beam axle, going from side to side above the fuel tank.
Oh, I don't
no, I can see...
it is here. That's it there.
Yeah, that's it. That's the end of it. That's like the anti-roll bar, joining one side to the other side.
And then the bottom arms, the trailing arms pivot off of that, don't they?
Yeah.
Here.
Yeah, at this end, yes. So the suspension is coil spring with a tubular link from one side to the other as the anti-roll with conventional telescopic dampers mounted on the inboard side of that trailing arm.
Yes.
Should we move away from
the drip? I am actually covered in it.
Yeah, it's... The amazing thing is, it's still flowing quite strongly.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, it's much more obvious from the back here. What's
good.
what?
Right, okay,
so
let's see what we're looking at then. Oh, I see. Oh, it looks a lot simpler from this end.
Yeah, exactly.
Why don't we look in from this end to start off with?
I have no idea.
Well,
because we were intrigued by the drip.
Yeah, we got drawn into the getting wet area. That was our first mistake.
Yeah, well, there we go. It's exactly that, isn't it?
So we've got hydraulic calipers with a handbrake, which is cable operated, going to the caliper. I can see that from this side. You probably can't from where you are, Gus.
I
cannot. With a coil spring arrangements on a trailing arm, telescopic damper. So all, it's a pretty sort of normal arrangement down there.
Normal arrangement for a sporty car.
Nothing sort of really different.
It's just looking at those straps that hold the petrol tank on. They've got a bit of corrosion in them, haven't they?
Yeah, there's a lot of heat shielding up around this exhaust pipe.
Yeah, maybe it gets very hot. It's so performancey. The other, the brackets here that hold the bodywork on, it's all
Don't
a bit
poke. So there's a hole now.
It's a bit flaky, isn't it?
It's normally my job to check for rusty holes.
I know.
You found it.
But I don't like to say that you do see it a lot on...
I know what you're thinking.
I know, I shouldn't say it,
what you're thinking.
But it's a thing, isn't it?
It is. Yes, it is. It is a thing.
It's neat down here, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
It's neat. It's in good order.
Where the rear bumper comes down to meet the back end of the car, the petrol tank covers up the main area between the two wheels. There's quite a wide, flat tank on its underside, so that in itself is good for the aerodynamics of the car underneath.
Yep.
And then trailing off the back of the fuel tank itself and going up to the underside of the bumper is another bit of sort of panelling to help with the aerodynamics, so the air flows off the tank instead of getting caught in behind the bumper and creating drag. It's just smoothing it off.
Yeah, it's
that
neat.
Water's
Actually,
still running, isn't it?
The water is still running.
That's amazing.
Yeah, well, at least we've emptied it out now.
Well, yeah. Judging by the weather at the moment,
it's not.
I don't think it's going to be very long before it's
Careful.
full up again. Yes.
I don't know.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would have thought so if it's staying where it is now.
Okay, so moving to the front of the car. Getting me foam mat down on the floor so I don't have to, because this is quite a grubby old yard where we are at the moment.
Yeah,
so
it's a bit grubby. It's a bit dirty.
The car's parked in half a puddle, and the rest of it's got undergrowth growing in it. Oh, okay. Aluminium sump. That gearbox is big.
It's a
The engine was
gearbox,
big,
isn't
looked
it?
big though, didn't it? Why does it all look so big?
Well, I suppose because it sort of is, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's powerful. It's a big 2-litre engine.
This is
5-cylinder, yeah.
But this is supposed to have a limited slip diff, isn't it?
Yes, it has. And
Is
that
that what
would be
that-
housed in there.
In that there, yeah.
Yeah, that's the diff casing off the back of the front-wheel drive gearbox. So the arrangement here is there seems to be a bit of a subframe that runs along underneath underneath the engine and gearbox, which supports the lower suspension arms, which are triangular shaped. So they've got 2 pivot points on the inboard side, and then a ball joint on the outboard side, and then sort of linking up to an arrangement that's sort of very similar to a McPherson strut. So, So it's a good sort of normal sort of setup. It's a reliable sort of setup.
Yeah.
But those lower arms, they look like they might be cast steel.
They do
So-
look like it, don't
So
they?
they'd be very strong. And thankfully, they're not quite as rusty as the ones at the back.
No, they're not. And they take an anti-roll bar, which goes across to the other side, obviously.
Yeah, on little drop links.
Look at the size of that exhaust pipe. What do you think that is? 3 inches?
That's got to be
3-inch diameter?
a good 3-inch diameter. Wow, I mean, it does.
You don't often
reduce
see
the-
that, do you?
No, you don't.
That's big.
That's a whopper. So coming directly out of the turbo and doing, what's that, like the first 3 foot of before it reduces on just after that bend.
Yeah, well, there's a cat there, isn't there, of some sort?
It's the first 3 foot, a firm 3 inches in diameter.
It's like a python.
It's bloody huge. That's nice though. That would excite a lot of people, wouldn't it?
There's an intercooler straight there, isn't there, as well, which is nice.
Yeah, and the intercooler seems to be ducted for its fresh air feed all the way up to the front bumper, where there's a vent, which I'll just put my hand in now, and that goes all the way to the intercooler. I can see up the ducting, and I can see the intercooler, which seems to be aluminium and nice and clean. You would expect it to be aluminium.
It's smart under here, isn't it? You know, it's purposeful, powerful. I mean,
It's a lot simpler down here than it is on top.
yeah.
All of the gubbins seems to be up there.
And there's no great rot under here. Nothing that you wouldn't expect for this age of car that's been.
No, which is nice, because we have seen a bit of rot in the car further back, but it's not rot, it's just rusty brackets.
Yeah, exactly. in general, I'd say neat. And if we were looking at this car to purchase it, I would initially say I can't see what we're going to do to it.
Well, I mean, there's loads of bits. The engine bits have been taken off the engine. This underbelly's been removed here. This belly pan's been removed. I've noticed here, look, you see, there would be a strong bracket that goes between this
and that.
And do you know what? I think that
all goes up there, yeah.
So the radiator's been disconnected at the bottom.
That's what
and has been lowered down from its mounting points. It's hanging in free air, look, Gus.
Yeah, but that's why all the coolant pipes are off up the top, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Somebody's had the radiator out or has taken the radiator out.
Yeah. So
in the process of.
We don't know what the problem is with this car, but it's got a mechanical issue.
Yeah, clearly. So it's difficult to know, isn't it? It's I mean, it's an amazing car to look over.
But we know where the prices sort of stand on this.
On these cars?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And because this one is currently in bits, but we don't know what the issue is.
Yeah.
But we do know they do suffer with turbo issues.
They do suffer with turbo issues, don't they? Yeah.
So, and we don't know how much a turbo would cost, but we can see that our fitting time for the turbo wouldn't be that out of the world because
of where it is.
Yes,
because it's at the front
accessible.
of the car. Yeah. So you think what you're thinking is if we were offered this car in this state, if it wasn't put back together again.
Yeah. So we'd be looking at $2,000 like this. A poor one, this broken, we'd have to consider it poor.
If it's not fixed, then
and
definitely.
Let's say it is the turbo. We know that turbos, steep money for a turbo is sort of 600 quid. Cheap money's 400 quid.
Yeah.
So look at the worst side. It needs a radiator and a turbo.
Yeah. Although, bizarrely, the radiator doesn't look that bad, does it? It doesn't look like it's...
It's very, very unbolted.
It's very unbolted, yeah.
And it's almost a stab in the dark, isn't it? We're working out how we would...
Yeah, how we would deal with it.
But the goodie points are, all 4 tyres are brilliant.
The wheels amazing.
There's not a single scratch in the wheels.
No.
I do not believe it was done 7,000 miles. I mean, I
think that's what it said, yeah.
I know that's what it said. I just can't... I can't compute it.
What makes you wonder why, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Why it's only done 7,000 miles?
Yeah. I mean, maybe it's... We don't know.
No, we don't know.
We don't know.
But suffice to say, if we could get it in this state...
The outside of the car presents excellently.
Absolutely brilliant. Faultless, in actual fact.
Faultless, yeah. Oh, the visor.
Visor
that's on the inside,
the interior,
I know. That's probably repairable, easily replaceable.
Yeah.
The seats, they're just beautiful.
Well, the interior generally, apart from that visor, it's just amazing.
Yeah. Hold on. I found a chip in the paintwork.
Oh, yeah.
I'll pick it.
No, don't pick it. Leave it alone. So it's on the wing, on the near side wing mirror. There was a bit of a chip, but that's
that's the smallest chip in the world.
Pretty much the only thing.
To say that chip was smaller than a match head would be fair, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I really like this car.
And I think
I really like it.
I think it would sell well, and I'll tell you why I think it would sell well.
Why?
Because the person that originally bought this car was that sort of young, middle-class, affluent person.
Yeah.
These cars went through a massive pitch when that person stopped buying them, right? Because those people were having babies and making families and buying houses. But now their children have grown up a little bit, perhaps they can just
get
see
back
themselves.
into them.
Yeah, and they want one of those back.
Maybe.
It may be that. People always want their first car back, don't they?
I'm looking at the number plate thinking if you had a Triumph Bonneville T140, you might be interested.
You could well be quite interested, but I don't think you're allowed to make a car look newer, are you? And I don't think you'd be able to get that on an old sort of 50s or 60s Triumph.
No.
Which is unfortunate.
It's a lovely car, and I think your theory is probably right. And I think if we did look for one,
that's on the list.
It's what you've got to look for. And you'd want to look for one that had this sort of damage to it.
It's so much easier for us, isn't it? Because, I mean, paint's not really something that either of us really enjoy doing very much.
No, and
oily bits under the bonnet are kind of like, it's parts of labour.
Yeah, it's easy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Relatively. It's just time.
Yeah,
really.
I mean, if we were to be offered this car, I would definitely want to go, no, okay, what's wrong with it?
You'd want to know what's wrong with
Because
it. Yeah.
we are guessing and we can see there is something wrong with it.
Yeah.
But you can see, not almost whatever's wrong with it, because it's not a case of, it's going to be there a while.
He's going to be there a while. He's got to do a proper Austin Powers 34-point
Well,
turn.
that will take, I'll be worth videoing.
I bet he doesn't.
Yeah.
I bet he's really really quick with it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's far enough
Trust your
away now
mirrors
as well.
Trust your mirrors.
Yeah.
You're going to want to know what's wrong with it, aren't
Yeah.
you? For sure.
And I think if it's anything down there that I can say, I think doing a turbo in it, well, you could consider it costly, but you're going to get the car very cheap.
Yeah.
And it's a spanking example.
It's a great car. Great looking car. And like you said, great example of a great car.
Yeah. So I think it would probably be worth a punt.
Is it looking better since we jacked it up? I'm looking at the front three-quarter now on the side that we jacked up, and I'm getting a different perspective of it. I'm seeing it lower down, and it's looking great.
I'm on the high side of a fast corner on Brooklyn's embankment racetrack.
Yeah,
And I'm seeing this car hacking it round the corner. And it looks purposeful. Those lights look good.
Yeah.
I love those lights.
Yeah. Yeah.
We both like it.
Yeah.
I thought I wouldn't, but I do. I love it.
I love it. I sort of always have. Wasn't ever really sure why, because it was never the car to own. But I like it better now. I think age has done it.
It's just occurred to me, I don't like silver cars.
Really? I'm not particularly big on them, I have to say.
This is silver and I like it.
It looks great in silver.
Yeah.
Doesn't it?
There you go.
They did some dubious colours, but it does look great in silver.
Yeah, they did the bright yellows.
Didn't
the
like
red
it.
was good. Didn't they do a blue?
They did a blue, yeah.
Yeah.
They did a green as well. I really like it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So to sum up...
That's our conclusion, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
We really like it.
Yeah. Well, that's great. Good on, well done us.
Well done. Well, thanks for listening to our podcast.
Yeah, thank you very much.
We'll be back this time next week, or whenever you switch us on.
And it's my turn. And actually, I've got an idea, and it's a really good idea. Yeah.
Oh, come on.
Just teasing. Thanks, everyone. See you next week.
Bye-bye.
The Flipping Bangers podcast features Gus Gregory and Will Trickett. It's produced by Dan Allum and is a Just Mike TV production. International copyright is asserted. No opinions in the show are personally held. Audio engineering is by Stephen O'Toole, and we've used a sample composed by Lakey Inspired. If you'd like to get in touch, please visit justmike.tv or chat to us via Instagram at Flipping Bangers. Thanks for listening.